everybody. Welcome to the Arcade Heroes Podcast, Episode 3, Revenge of the Podcast, or something along those lines. My name's Adam Pratt. I'm with ArcadeHeroes.com. And joining me today, I have Sean McDermott from All Castle Games.
Hello!
How you doing, Sean?
Oh, good. How's it going?
Pretty good. And we have a special guest with us as well. You could introduce yourself to...
Very special. Hey everybody, this is Nick from the ArcadeHunters.com. How y'all doing?
I'm doing good. Are you doing good?
I am. So, for those that aren't familiar with Arcade Hunters, they've been around for a while. When did you get started?
Pretty much around the same time that you started Arcade Heroes. You know, we were doing our other website, which was a classic gaming. Was like a webcomic, and
right.
We did the videos on the side, and the videos ended up becoming more popular than the comic, so my friends was like, hey, we want to do this, you know, even though it was just something that we did as a hobby, you know, you want to just, like, stop the comic and we'll just do the videos now full time, and I went, okay, so pretty much almost about 8 years now we've been doing it, you know.
Nice.
Sweet.
Congratulations. What other aspects of the arcade industry are you an expert in?
A little bit of everything. I have my fingers in everybody's pie, as they like to call it. You know, I just like, you know, just going around looking at all the stuff. That's just me. You know, I follow all the news stuff. I always see what's going on all over the world. You know, I love looking at the stuff from Japan, like on Twitter and stuff like that. See what stuff they got coming out. It's always cool stuff.
Right.
Sweet.
Nice. And it seems like you have a wide reach. You cover arcade. I've seen you cover arcades from usually in the Northeast, which is where you're based.
Yes.
Florida, Vegas as well. So you've definitely. I mean, you got your work cut out for you and hunting all the arcades out there. But
I know it's something that I wish if, like, you know, one of those TV stations, like, you know.
Right.
Like when they were doing all like the reality type of conquest shows, like, you know, your man versus food, like you could go out there and go to all these different places. I would have loved to have done that, but, you know, they don't want to see some fat guy walking around and pointing out the Galaga machine in the back of the pizza parlor, you know.
Never say never, man. Could happen.
They gave some people a show. You're like, oh, why not me?
Hey, if the Kardashians can make it, and I don't know what they do. But, you know.
Hey, you got a game in the arcade that's based off of a freaking reality show in there, right? Or did you switch it out with the zombies?
Which one?
Duck Dynasty.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, there is Duck Dynasty, which is a part of the bigger Big Buck HD package, and now they have the zombies. I don't know how well that's done overall. I mean, at my place, it hasn't been played a whole lot, although the issue was, at first, that they locked it into $2 a play, and I could not change that. And most people didn't want to play $2 for a modern Duck Hunt.
Yeah.
No.
And then $1 to continue. I mean, now with the newest update, the Wild update, you don't have that anymore. So
Most people don't want to pay $2 for anything.
Yeah,
most people don't want to pay 25 cents.
Yeah, I know.
Yep, I still come across that. I have a Nickelcade that's not too far away from me, and so sometimes I will hear people coming in complaining, "Man, you're so expensive." And it's like, if I could just sit down with a chart of money inflation over the years since 1992.
Yeah, that would happen to me when I raised the pinball prices. To a whopping 75 cents.
Dun, dun, dun. Because everybody's just so used with, like, the pinball machines. They have their, you know, the Williams, you know, it's a super value. You know, 5 games for $1. And it's like, now you go up to the game, it's like, it's $1 for just 3 balls. So like, where's my money?
Right.
The thing is, the game's got to be good, you know. And if it's a good game, you know what? I'm going to give you my money for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Market works. So, I guess speaking of that, Sean, since we last spoke...
no, don't do it, man. Don't make me talk about this. Oh.
I gotta hear this. Tell the kids. Tell the kids. What did you do?
the kiddies at home what they want to hear.
Okay, let's put this into context so I don't look like a total moron. So I have 150 games or so, and on last week, I did something really stupid. And we had a fluorescent lamp go out in our Star Trek, and usually when that goes out, it blows out the damn ballast, because Stern has the cheapest ballast in the world. And I bought one of those awesome LED bulb tube things from Marco Specialties, and I looked at the wiring diagram on the bulb, and I wired it up the way that was, and it, well, needless to say, it melted the transformer, so in the bottom of the cabinet.
Yummy.
And it was on a Saturday at, about 1 in the afternoon, and yeah, the whole theater lobby was filled with smoke. It was awesome. And they had to open all the doors of the theater. The manager's looking at me with this really evil look,
Right, yeah.
I was like, yeah. So.
Live and learn.
Yeah. Well, needless to say, they don't fuse that circuit like they do the rest of the circuits in the game, which is the problem. So, I don't know. It's not really that. It's a dumb story, I guess. So.
Well, we were all riveted, so don't knock yourself down.
Well, I haven't done that since Sega's Titanic. And that wasn't really my fault. So.
Classy move by Sega. Let's make a prize game based off of it. I was like, oh, look at all the people that died on it. Hey, Mom, let's win tickets.
Yeah, I know. That's what I thought.
Make it a crane game with water, and you pick up the dead bodies floating.
It was a ripoff of Ice's Cyclone, and it was actually like the gameplay was good. You could like bet more money, but like the theme was horrible, and they mounted the neon ballasts for the neon on that game to this plastic housing around the center by the ship. And when those bulbs went out, it took that ballast, and when that happened, it melted that ballast right off. That plastic housing into the bottom of the game, started a fire. Like I went up to the game, I got a call from the attendant, and I went back because I was on my way home, and I looked in the dome and you couldn't see anything. It was just pitch white. It was like smoke billowing out the side door, and like, oh shit.
I guess that's why I never see that game around arcades that often.
Well, it's that, and then it has the boards inside it are pinball boards, so you can rape those boards to fix the pinball machine, and that's where I've seen most of them go.
Seems like a more worthy cause.
Well, Titanic probably earned more.
True. It was redemption, so.
Yeah.
Well,
Always
fun.
I'm sorry.
How about you, Nick? What you been up to the past week or so?
I've been up to no good, my friend. Unfortunately for me, if you guys have been following us on our website, My Escapades, this computer that I'm on right now, that I'm speaking to you with, it is a 7-year-old Windows HP 32-bit Vista, 2 gigabytes of RAM. I mean, this thing has been with me for a very long time. Unfortunately, it's got to go because I have so much stuff on backlog that I have not been able to upload because, like, trying to, like, do, like, a 5-minute clip will just kill it.
Right.
It'll just shut down. So my good friend David, this is, I don't know if you heard what we did recently, Adam, this year. We got in contact with this guy named Tony from Edge Magazine out in the UK. Mm-hmm. And he tells me, hey, I wanted to see if you guys wanted to do an article about who just got a free game. What game was that?
A little kid, and he ran off before he even heard the knocker.
Probably scared him away.
Oh yeah, that's
What's he doing giving me free stuff?
So he tells us, like, we want to do an article about people that collect pinball machines and arcade games in the United States. Would you be interested in doing that? And I was also like, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, I got, so I'm here on Long Island, New York, so my friend Brendan started this club called the Long Island Arcade Club, and it's all people that own arcade games and pinball machines. So I said, I gotta have Brendan do it, and I have to have my friend Dave do it. And my friend Dave's got an excellent pinball arcade in his basement. Really, really nice. Really? Great stuff.
Like how many pins you think? Like
about 25 maybe.
Jesus.
In there. So like he calls me at like one day on a Friday, and he's like, "Hey Nick, want to come over and play the new toy? I was just like, oh my god, what did you get? And he goes, oh, I got a bonsai run. I was just like,
Whoa.
all right, hold on. He goes, oh, I'll come pick you up. I'm already out. I said, let me go grab the camera. So we did a video of me playing it, and he's manning the camera, so I'm trying to show the upper tier playfield on that because, you know, playing that game is a pain in the ass to try to film because you have to do 2 playfields on it.
Yeah, and you have to kind of move. That's kind of a hard game to get now.
Yeah. He tells me, he goes, you got to see what I got. He said his brother-in-law calls him up on the phone, and he says, hey, Dave, do you have your truck on you? Do you have your truck, or do you have the wife's car? He goes, I got the truck. Why? He goes, well, you got to come over to the, and he gives him the address. There's an arcade game out in the garbage. And he goes, okay. So he gets there with the truck. It's a friggin' Robotron 2084.
No way. Really?
So he
working?
He knocks on the door, and he says to the guy, he says, hey, you getting rid of this Robotron? He goes, yeah, it gave up the ghost. It's not working. He goes, okay. So they put it in the back, and he calls up one of the friends in the club that has a Robotron. He's just like, I just got a Robotron. It's not working. He goes, hold on. Let me bring over my board and stuff to fix the monitor. So he came over. They capped the monitor. The monitor looks crystal clear. It looks brand new. You know, they put a brand new control panel overlay. And I forget, what's the name of the guys that do all the excellent board repair? I forget the names of the guys.
Eldorado?
Yes. They called up Eldorado and they said, hey, we got this, we got a Robotron board set. They sent it out to him, and like a month and a half later, he got it repaired. So I helped them put the Robotron back in.
There's a lot of stuff they fixed. They do not fix the Taito Space Invaders boards, though. I found out this week. Kind of sucks.
So he put the thing back in, and it is running like a goddamn champion. Oh my god. And you look at that thing, and you're like, and you think of it like, how much did it cost you to send the board to Eldorado? And he's like, $250. And like, how much for like the control panel overlay and the fix on the monitor and the joysticks? That was like another $50. So for like under $500, he got a friggin' Robotron.
That's insane. Like,
How much do those usually go for?
They've been going up since, you know, it's a really popular game, and you sold it.
I sold our Stargate for $2,500. So
yeah.
Wow. Nice.
The Stargate's a hard one to find, especially Stargate. You rarely ever see those. You know, like you'll go like unless you go to like Fun Spot and they have the row that has, you know, Defender, Stargate, Robotron, and you know, trying to think of the other guy, Sinistar.
yeah.
You know, Sinistar's another one that you rarely ever see a lot of.
I got good money for gauntlets too. Like, I'm sorry, Adam. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I got a lot of new videos at Dave's place. So hopefully, once someone can actually help me with what computer that I have to build, then I'll start getting more of the videos are trickling out. But until then, I took videos on my phone from my trip to Walt Disney World. So I got a video of the famous shooting gallery and stuff like that, and talked a lot about the new law that they had that you know, they had to close down.
Right. Price law.
I did listen to your podcast.
It's weird because, like, you know, a lot of people say, well, you know, you need the redemption because that's where the money's coming from. But it's just like, if you went to the parks, they didn't offer redemption. They barely even offered claw games in a lot of them. So it's just so weird that you go there and it's completely boarded up and they don't use it as, like, you know, a place for, like, a character meet and greet, because that's something that they can always get money from, is having, like, a meet and greet with a character that they, you know, they charge for the friggin' photos that you get to see all the characters with. So
Right.
It's very odd when you go there, and I really think this is the nail in the coffin for it, because I can see, like, some places, like, getting rid of the arcade and putting in something like, you know, like a coffee place, like kind of like a Starbucks.
Well, I heard they amended the law though, just recently.
Yeah. But this is Disney. Disney really doesn't want to fight it, and I don't see them bringing back the games and cutting down the wall and bringing it back. You know, I don't see them doing that.
Too bad, I guess. So what do they have right now after they got rid of all that stuff? Just nothing? Just coffee shops?
So in the parks, there is no more games. So, like, you go to the the Pizza Planet restaurant, and it's got the claw, the claw everywhere. There's no claw games. There's no arcade games in it at all. That's just benches
Just
for people to sit at. There's no video games, so there's nothing there. And what they did in some of the other ones, I guess because they probably don't have enough games to fill the holes of not having any redemption games. So at one of the arcades that I went to, they put signs for amusement only on all of the games. And they put these little things on cards that say, you can no longer win tickets and redeem them for prizes. You can play the games for fun. So,
wow. That's good.
It was one of the things that Sean was talking about, since you're a route guy, that they started doing in Disney. All of the games, except for the pinball machines, have QR codes on them. So you go there, you'll skip. Like I was playing Afterburner Climax, and the joystick worked except for when you were like trying to do barrel rolls, and for some reason you couldn't select the plane on the right. You could only go left. So I scanned it and I told them what the error was, and then I made sure to lambast them on how bad the
when you scanned it, did it bring you to a text message or an email or something, or what did it do?
It brought me to a website.
Okay.
And the website, it was whatever the route company's website is, and it actually came up and it said Afterburner Climax, and it said Lafayette Arcade, Yacht and Beach Club.
Oh. So
it knew exactly the arcade that I was in. It knew exactly the game that I was playing. And it told me, and it gives you like a list of options. Says stream does not work, controller does not work, game did not give me money. It didn't. The coin door was jammed. So I put joystick problem, and I wrote what the problem was, and then I put space. Oh yeah, by the way, get rid of this Pirates of the Caribbean pinball machine. It's friggin' filthy. Like that.
Yeah, I did see your video. That's where I got the idea for QR codes. So
yeah, I think it works out for them because I this is how bad that I am with all the arcade stuff. Is I'm on a first name basis with the coordinator of the arcade at the Contemporary. And then we were talking with this one guy. His name was Adam, and he was telling me the whole story about how he got the job, and he was telling me, he goes, I love pinball machines, I love how they're built, I love going through and making it work. He goes, I friggin' hate playing them. Like that. I go, really? But wow. He's telling me, like, they have an Elvis machine in there, and like the guys that work in the Contemporary, they love Elvis. And I was like, oh, you're probably big Steve Ritchie nuts. And I was naming some of the other games, like, oh yeah, I love that game too. I said, same designer. The same guy, the same team did that game. Like, so. Did his
Elvis have the Hitler stash from hitting himself with the microphone?
No, it didn't have that one. But what happened was said one of the other technicians wired the third flipper incorrectly and burned out the flipper. So they called up the management and they said, yeah, one of the technicians blew out our flipper. We need a new flipper assembly. And how much does a flipper assembly cost? For a pinball machine, you guys.
The whole machine? For the whole assembly?
For assembly for one flipper, how much will it cost?
Probably like $60-$70 probably. If you want the whole thing, I mean.
So they told them.
You don't need to get that.
$70. And they said, you either run the game without a third flipper, or you get rid of the game entirely.
Wow.
So they run the game without a third flipper. And here's the funny part, guys. It plays better than most other Elvis games that I play that have an operational third flipper.
Oh.
Huh. Interesting how that would work out.
There's like 2 shots that you really need for it, but you can still play the game and have fun.
Well, I guess you could really say that about a lot of 3 flipper games, where there's, like, even on Star Trek, there isn't a whole lot you can do with that.
You need that ramp, man. That ramp is so much fun.
I agree that it's fun to keep that ramp loop going, but, I mean, as far as versatility goes, I mean, it's really just that and hit another target or two.
Those Sterns of that era only had 2 wires on the coil, and a diode. So he probably wired them backwards and blew up the
That's what he did. He wired it backwards and blew it out.
It blew up the transistor on the logic or the driver. So I mean, they probably didn't want to pull the driver board out and replace that $4 transistor.
Yeah. So.
It's too much work. Sorry, I don't know.
It's the fun of. See, I'm just a player. I let you guys deal with that.
Lucky us.
I just try to be, courteous and say, hey man, like something on this didn't work. You better go look at it before it's a problem.
Well, we talked about that. I think it was the last podcast about how often we will have games which are down and we don't know unless somebody like yourself bothers to tell us about it. Because as much as I would love to sit down and play every game and test every button every day, it's just not really feasible to do that.
Oh yeah.
That used to be our policy at Aladdin's Castle. When the Japanese took over after they were losing money for like 5 straight years, they instituted a policy where we had to play every game every morning, every slot and stuff like that. So I got kind of used to doing that. It takes about like 20 minutes. Just pluck a coin in each slot to make sure they're not jammed, and just test every button real quick, and then walk on.
Right.
And that's still the policy I have every time I visit a location. Like, I must play every coin slot and every button just for a second, just to make sure it sort of works. And I do find things, so, I mean, but you're doing like 2 things at once over there, aren't you? You're doing like another job? Yeah, so.
Well, yeah, I'm always busy with multiple things. I mean, like I said, I do try and test things out. It's just me being able to consistently do it, or if something goes wrong immediately, sometimes people might walk off and, as long as I'm paying attention, I might notice somebody being frustrated with something, and then I will go and check it out, try and nip it in the bud right away. But it's when it's really busy, especially as it is now in the summertime, that's a little difficult to.
I thought about like giving people like incentive by giving them prizes to like money or a toy or some free item for if they could find a problem, like literally have them work for me. But then I ran it through like the other half of the people here, and she said like, well, they're just going to start breaking the stuff on purpose. I'm like, oh shit. They're like, yeah, you're really right. So
that QR code is our reporting via QR code. It's a pretty cool idea. I like that.
I'm going to test it at one place and see, and then we'll go from there.
Let us know. Update us in the future.
Oh, I will. So, Nick, I heard you've met John from John's Arcade, and
it sucked. I was telling John on the lead podcast. I said I feel like a schmuck because technically I split the community, because once people were going to me saying, hey, did you hear FunSpot's not doing a tournament? And like, I don't work there. How am I supposed to know? So I go on the website and went, oh, wow, they're really not doing it. Because I knew they were doing the whole thing where they were doing a brand new indoor mini golf course. So I figured that's where...
Did you guys ever find out why they never did?
Because they were doing an indoor mini golf course.
Is that what it was?
Okay. Yeah. So they didn't have the time and the effort to put everything into it. So I mentioned it on my Facebook page saying, hey, I wonder if anybody is going to pick up the slack. Hint, hint, Doc Mac, Galloping Ghost, hint, hint, like that. And then the problem is John is not on social media except for Twitter.
Right.
So John just goes, I'm going to do my own tournament. I'll ask FunSpot if it's okay if I host it and I have the prizes and stuff like that. So he did not see what Doc was doing, and Doc didn't see what Adam was doing.
Oh,
or I'm sorry, Adam, he didn't see what John was doing, so it was all going back and forth. Like, oh, I'm sorry, but
did Doc actually do one or no?
Oh yeah, he did one. He did the T20. They had Jeff Minter from Milestar came out. The creator Qbert was there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they had.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I saw pictures of all that. I was wondering what that was.
Yeah, so he had like 20 classic games. He had some that were brand new for it. So
yeah,
they had their own
Walter Day was there too, right?
Yep. Walter and Mr. Mitchell, Mr. Big Hot Sauce Man. He is a mountain of a man. Don't let anything fool you, man. That guy's like 6'7", something like that. He's really tall.
Maybe that's why he's so good at Pac-Man. He can see better.
Oh, he sees it. It's not like if you ever beat Todd McCullough, he was the center for the NBA. He's a big pinball player now. Every time he's at a game, it looks like, if you've ever seen the game Safecracker,
Right.
you know how it's like a half of a pinball machine?
It's like a Muppet.
That's how he looks like on every game. Like every game looks like a Muppet video game. It looks like he's playing Capcom.
That's funny.
He is just when they say a mountain of a man, that's Todd McCullough right there. That guy's a grizzly bear.
They're out there. Should we move on to next?
Well, we can talk about some of the new games that are coming out, I suppose.
Yeah.
Now, did you have Jurassic Park before the second episode? Did you get to talk about?
Yeah. This has been the Jurassic Park by Raw Thrills that I have has been here since middle of April. So about a month and a half now.
See it probably going to go up more now that the movie's coming out and people are going, oh, look.
Most likely. I mean, that's what I'm kind of keeping an eye out for.
I really hope that calling it, just Jurassic Park isn't going to hurt the game because, there's been the other Sega Jurassic Park. So, unless, people, see it from a distance and, finally go in and say, oh, wait, this is a brand new game. I really don't know why they just didn't decide to call it Jurassic World.
Money.
Yeah.
Guarantees.
I mean, to be completely honest, if this game was just called Dinosaur, it would probably still be played just as much. I mean,
they still play that old Jurassic Park game to hell too. I mean,
just it doesn't have anything from the likenesses of the actors from the films. It doesn't have any lines from the films, anything like that. So I mean, it's kind of scrubbed down in that regard, much like Fast and Furious Supercars.
Yeah,
it's really only the marquee that makes it.
They're not going to call it Fast and Furious anymore either, are they?
Right. Yeah. And
they're going for the name. Yeah, that's like what Gary Stern said. You gotta get him with the hook.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I mean, I've seen some people walking by the store that don't come in, or they'll have a little kid like, "Oh, look, dinosaurs!" just because they see the enormous T-Rex head on the back. And I'm sure most kids don't know what Jurassic Park is, and right now they'll be figuring out what Jurassic World is. Yep. But I don't know. I'm curious to see, because tonight should be the premiere at most movie theaters, including the one here. So this weekend I'll probably see.
That's right.
Now, for something more timeless, what do you got coming in soon? You got to tell the kids what's coming in.
Oh yeah. So as sort of a celebration for 7 years in business, the video-only arcade, which
there you go,
is to happen. And that's it's all supposed to fit into those other nice business models.
Hey,
that,
leave me alone. Come on.
Modernist and whatnot. But did some looking into things and making phone calls and stuff like that. And I'm getting my hands on a Star Wars Battle Pod by Dynamic Games. I honestly was not expecting to do that, because when I first saw that it was in the Mockstorm cabinet, I already knew it was going to be a $30,000 game. And I was already saying, I'm never getting this. I mean, kind of like what you were talking about earlier with how many games could I buy for this one game? How many games can you fill into an arcade with that much money?
Yeah, you could open another location with old games. Almost.
Yeah. But, I mean, one thing that's been a huge benefit to this game over any other arcade game recently is the marketing, handled by, it's 4 per player.
Dun, dun, dun.
Somebody asked about Jurassic Park. But,
there you go.
but
hey, we were just talking about it. Now someone wants to play.
This is life. This is life in the arcade, man.
Well, actually, they didn't go and play it after I told them it's $1 per person.
That's an extra $1. I'm telling you, they don't want to pay $2.
That's the thing that has me nervous on Star Wars Battle Pod. Is most places go with the default of $3 to start, $2 to continue. From my understanding, that's where most places are at. I haven't decided yet what I'm going to do, because you have to find that balance of, am I giving people enough for their value, or are they going to just walk away? 'Cause it's like, I'm not going to pay that much.
My advice on pricing is start high and go low.
Right.
Because you can't go low to high, ever. Because then
most of the time I can get away with that from what I've tested in the past, but I know
that's
generally
a slippery slope, man.
Because I think that's how like Dave and Buster's can get away with it, because everything there is on points. So,
Right.
I mean, like, I remember when I still have not played the finalized version of BattlePod. I only got to play the preview that they had when they showed it off the first time at New York Comic Con. You know, the game wasn't. 2 of the stages didn't even work. So I'm sitting there like.
So which stage did you get to play? Like.
The only 3 you got to do Yavin, Battle of Yavin, the Death Star 2, and the Endor Run. Those were the only 3. You couldn't do Hoth, and you couldn't do Darth Vader's Revenge.
Now, I played the Death Star one at 257, and honestly, I liked Dark Escape 4D better, but I thought that was kind of neat. I never played that either before, so.
And how much were they charging? Do they do cards at the 257?
They do time on cards. Okay. That's the only option you have. It's like $5 for 15 minutes. So it's not bad if you're playing consistently, but if you want to sit down and have a beer, like the place is meant for, you get screwed pretty quick.
Exactly.
So.
Because I'm like sitting there like looking at my card, figuring out how much I paid. Because Dave and Buster's, they want you to pay for the biggest card to get the most value.
Right.
And I'm looking like, oh my god, and I have to pay per stage. I was just like, I swear to God, I played the whole game, which was only 3 stages. It's going to be like $15 to play this game or something like that, or like $10.
Then at 257 would probably be cheaper if you want to go play something straight through, because it doesn't start the time until you swipe your first thing. So just sit out. Okay,
I don't know if it's on the final version, but on the preview version that I played, you only got to play 1 stage. After you were done, it was okay, next player. So I would look behind me. Okay, there's no one else in the arcade. Okay, I'm gonna do the other stage. Like that.
Level 257 had 2 of them, and then they had 1 Mock Storm, and then they had Time Crisis 5.
And I hate to say it, but I kind of like Mock Storm a little bit better. I know I'm only playing a preview version, but I love the bonus stage in Mock Storm where you're crunching for time, and you have to keep the timer going by blowing up all the enemy aircraft. I just thought that was so much more fun.
Yeah, but he made a wiser choice by buying Star Wars.
Well, the marquee vault, you have Mock Storm, which is just, what the hell is that? But then people are going to see Star Wars. Everybody knows it's Star Wars.
I mean, that Sega one that they made, the trilogy one, that thing still earns good.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean...
They all earn. It's Star Wars. It's proven. Everybody knows what it is.
The Pod Racer one did not. I had that one.
Oh, okay.
That was a pile of junk.
Well, the Star Wars Episode 1,
I've heard say that. Most people say that it's awesome.
Well, it was a neat machine, but it didn't earn. I mean, not like the trilogy or even the pinball. Even Episode 1 pinball did better.
Oh yeah, because it was just like that was the new thing. It was like, oh my god, this is Pinball 2000. Look at this thing.
That was the first Pin 2000 game we got in, and I mean, it has a lot of Jar Jar, but
automatically docks at a few points.
I mean, with any games, if you work there long enough, you just tune them out.
My thing that I want to know with Star Wars BattlePod is, can you actually die in that game?
Yes.
Because the way they had it set up, I was tempted to just leave the game on and see if it would get me all the way to the end.
Nope, it won't. I found that out the hard way. I played it at IAPA with what I believe was the final or very close to final software. And I decided, hey, I'm going to play Vader's Revenge for starters. I died in about 30-45 seconds, and then I had to be shuffled out because I died. And
I did notice something about that game. It is a little more off the rails than Star Wars Trilogy was, because I played the Death Star scene on both.
It has that, yeah. I mean, one thing that, I mean, it's kind of a catch-22 because there are situations where you're obviously going to smash into the side of the wall and then the game just automatically pulls you into a completely non-physics-like direction.
Yeah.
But Mockstorm kind of does that too. I mean, the one thing that I like about Star Wars better than Mockstorm is personally, Mockstorm made me a little bit nauseous. And I think that's because most of the time you're looking at blue sky, and so it's hard to have a frame of reference. Whereas Star Wars, most of the time there's things around you, the ground, other ships, things of that nature. So I didn't feel as nauseous, even really close to nauseous on Star Wars, whereas on Mockstorm, for me,
I did notice a little bit of that too, a little euphoria.
Yeah, I mean, with Mockstorm, I felt like I was duct taped to the front of an F-16 as I was flying along, which is an interesting experience, but it takes some getting used to.
Keep in mind, when I played BattlePod, like, my kid was sitting on my lap, and he's like 5, and I'm trying to like look around him, and stop him from jamming the controls into the ground and stuff.
Right. Well, either way, I mean, I'm taking the risk here. I guess to close my tangent is the reason why I decided to go forward with this is because I've had an unprecedented amount of people coming in and asking if we're getting the new Star Wars game.
Yeah.
And that's because that's not really Namco marketing, it's Lucasfilm. From my understanding, it's been Lucasfilm that put together like that press event. Namco, I mean, kind of went along for the ride, but I mean, if anything, it shows you how they should be marketing arcade games in general, because it reaches a much wider audience. I try as hard as I can with Arcade Heroes. I know you do with Arcade Hunters, but word of mouth just doesn't cut it anymore. But a lot of the manufacturers still think that all you need is word of mouth, and that's all that matters. But if you want hype, which does help us operators out in the long run, you need to do more for the press.
Well, let's kind of, I don't know, I know you gave me a script of everything you want to talk about, but I feel like that's a great way to segment into what Stern's been doing, if you guys have been following what they've been doing, right?
Yeah. They got a whole new, online presence now. Yeah,
they've got my good friend Nate Shivers, who has a fantastic pinball podcast called Coast to Coast Pinball, got an interview with 2 of the guys working there. And they have a brand new guy who's out of Texas, and he's a social media manager. This is what he does for a living. And he says, like, I'm a big pin fan, and I would, as my job, I would go on the Facebook and look up their page, and I would just go, ugh, this could be so much better. And oh my God, in like less than a month, they've completely turned that thing around, and they've gotten people so excited because they have KISS coming out now, and they got they've been like, people like, hey, do you want to see a look on the game on alpha code? I mean, it doesn't even have, it has music, it doesn't have any sound effects or anything on it. People are like, yeah, I want to see it. So they put the video out. Friggin' KISS, whoever runs KISS's social media, they posted it on their Facebook page. They have a 9 million people reach on the KISS Facebook page. So from like, only like, let's say like 5,000 hits that they would get on like a normal pinball video, they're talking like in the hundreds of thousands of hits from people. And now everybody wants to see this new Stern. They want to see this new KISS when it comes out. So it's just, it's really trying to get everybody really excited. Star Wars obviously hit it because, like, I went right to the test build to get a video of it, and I've got over 1,000 hits on that video because it was brand new. Everybody wanted to see it, and it wasn't coming from. I think it was also like it was something that was genuine. It wasn't something from like a website. It wasn't like it was controlled from like a media press event. IGN. I went and it wasn't from IGN. It wasn't from GameSpot. I went to the arcade, I bought my card, and I, guerrilla style, I just basically took a small tripod that I had, put it in the pod with me, and pointed it upwards. So you didn't get the full panorama thing, you know. You just got the. I tried to point it at the middle of the screen. I said, you're not getting anything that you're getting with this game, and it got people really excited. And I hope, you know, people saw that video and they're like, hey man, I gotta check this game out when it finally does come out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the sad thing. I mean, when you look at most arcade companies, video arcade companies, I mean, any of them could be turned around overnight by having somebody competent at the helm doing their social media. But I mean, some of them have no presence or no consistent presence. There are a few, like Sega Amusements does have a pretty good following. They have almost 125,000 likes, so they've been able to build up a good reach, which I know is more just because of their name and people not understanding that there are different divisions in Sega. But hey, you know,
they're all in UK now.
Who cares? But you know,
I think that like the only part of Sega that's actually doing good business is the European arcade division. So good for them.
Yeah, the what was left here was Sega closed it, and then the people that worked there formed a company called Play It Amusements.
Yeah.
Because when we bought our Keymaster, I bought it from them. They're all the same Sega people I used to deal with. I don't know if you guys remember the GameGate thing, but I bought that from Sega. It was like an Xbox 360 coin-op thing.
Yep.
Yes.
And that was one of the last official things I bought from Sega, like the company in the United States. But it's the same guys, you know, the same tags, the same. But it is a separate company, though, and they do charge a bit for parts, you know. So, yeah, they've been doing a really good job with on Stern Pinball with dealing with the naysayers on the website too, not just like banning them, you know, like kind of.
Oh man, it was awful the way they had it. I remember when they announced AC/DC was coming out, and I meant it truly. I said, if you're gonna make an AC/DC pinball machine, I really hope they have the song "Big Balls" in it.
Yeah.
It's a pinball song. Everybody says they got the biggest balls of all. I think that should be a pinball song, and that they would delete the comments right off of it, and everybody was like saying like, goes, I don't even want to deal with those people. They'll delete the comments off right away. Now instead, the guy that's running it is going out and saying, what don't you like about it? Like that.
Like communicating with the customers. It's
they're actually talking
novel
with them.
concept.
So, like, the thing with KISS that they have, if you folks have not seen KISS that are listening to this, obviously the biggest toy in the game is a head of Gene Simmons that has a ball elevator in it that spits the ball out. But in order to get to the back to where he can spit the ball out of his mouth, there's a spinning disc. And they were very excited. They wanted to show the spinning disc. They wanted to show the demon disc. They wanted to show how it worked. And it wasn't working right because they literally did not have the table, you know, dialed in. It wasn't at the right, you know, level for a pinball machine. So people were giving them flack. It was just like, come on, I thought that thing was going to work better. That doesn't even look like Tron. So they said, okay, we realized what we did. So the next day, they posted, they said, okay, we leveled the game. This is how it's supposed to work. And went, like, they're showing, like, the ball just going back and forth all crazy. And people are just like, you know what? I love this level of commitment, of this level of communication. People are calling up their distributors. They want to buy these games. They want to have it in their homes. They want to put it on their routes. They're getting excited for it. And this is what we wanted all along. And I didn't know if it was like they couldn't do it because, let's say, you know, maybe the licensee didn't want them to say stuff. Because I remember, like, if you watch Tilt, the Battle of the Save Pinball, they talk about how, like, George Lucas with Star Wars Episode 1 was just like, he didn't even want them taking the game to a trade show before the movie came out because it was going to give away too much of the movie. So I didn't know if that was what was keeping them away, but it seems like it's not. And it seems, you know, the people at KISS are very excited with it, and they love the thing that everybody's doing. So hopefully it works for them, you know.
Well, with the licensing thing, we may see this kind of level of involvement with certain games, but not others for that same reason. But
But even then, like if you were watching the Stern Facebook pages this week, that was interesting what they were doing. They showed Gary Stern at the licensing expo in Las Vegas, and they were on there teasing a lot. But they've never done anything like that before with that much candor. And Gary standing in front of numerous different licenses and saying, should we do this next, or should we do this one, or is it time to do Doctor Who again, or whatever.
That's fine.
My favorite is him in front of the My Little Pony booth, just to piss people off. I was like, guess what? If they made a My Little Pony game, you'd still buy it and it would still be good. Oh my god, it would be colorful. How bad to have a colorful pinball machine again?
I would buy that game.
It's sitting on the Care Bears, so who knows?
I was talking with Charlie at Spooky, and he was joking about making a Minions game, and I said, hey man, we'll buy that straight away, because I got all
this... yeah. You get that out in a movie theater with a bunch of kids. I mean, even if you make it like what they were doing with Stern was making the mini pinball machines with the pin. If you made like a mini prize redemption, and even if it didn't redeem prizes, if it was something like Punchy the Clown that Alvin G. Gottlieb tried making, if you got that out in a certain places, it would make a killing. It would, as you guys would say, it would make record collections.
It would print money, is what Ben Heck says all the time.
I just like how, it's still 2015 and they're still making paper flyers to advertise games.
Hey.
Mortal Kombat means major coinage.
Right. Yeah, that's
it's
still
traditional. It's a tradition.
Well, that's the mentality. It's like word of mouth and a single flyer that shows up in your distributor's place. The problem is there's very few stock distributors left for you to grab those, so you might pick them up at trade shows. But it's as fine as those things are. The problem is that's usually where the marketing effort ends. It's like, okay, we've produced the game, we've made the flyers, you guys know about it, we don't care anymore.
Hey,
speaking of out there, they've got a fake. I'm sorry. Speaking from experience, I have advertised in Replay it before, on a half page, and it didn't do anything.
Well, I
spent $1,500.
Well, I'm talking about just going after modern marketing things, kind of like what Nick's been talking about with the social media. I mean, just Stern showing how it should be done from a social media perspective and how each one of these companies should be doing something. I mean, Raw Thrills is starting to improve. I know they Play Mechanics recently hired somebody to start handling their social media. They're not doing the same level that Stern is, but they are doing more than they used to. But that's the thing, is it really doesn't hurt. I mean, overall it helps because it makes you appreciate it more, keeps it in mind more, because that's the thing. It's easy to forget about what games might be out on the market, and it doesn't take a lot to, like, let's showcase this level or this enemy today, or this feature, or what's your feedback on this, because a lot of the time they don't really get feedback from a lot.
Yeah, you don't get feedback. The game's already done.
I just don't want Pinside deciding what all the titles are going to be. That's my fear.
They don't listen to them. I think they just egg them on. That's why they postpone. That's why they have Gary Stern sitting on a bed made out of friggin' Care Bears like that. Yeah. It's to get them angry.
Right. But I mean, like, for video, I just think to some degree, knowing that they would be listening to their customers would be beneficial, because these people, they're all human. These companies are run by people that make mistakes, and sometimes they've made some really bad mistakes, like Avatar Pinball or
Rolling Stones
video side of things.
Wheel of Fortune.
And so maybe if they were willing to listen to their customers a little bit more, then it would have been different. But it's like I know especially with Japanese companies, a lot of the time if something's made in Japan, they'll bring it over to the U.S. and they'll seek for some feedback from people within the U.S. arm of the company, but they don't care what they think. They just want them to say, "Hey, that's awesome," And that's something that I've heard of from Sega and Namco and any company that's Japanese based is they really don't care about what the feedback is, because they feel that they have a perfect product, even if
they're superior.
Don't really have something that is that superior.
If only they would bring Initial D back for me.
See, there you go.
You gotta import it. The guys playing you upstate New York, they got 7.
I got a 5. Woohoo!
That and Wangan Midnight, man. Those games were.
I had that one.
Those
too.
games were raking it in with the racing games. I mean, as soon as they made that with the racing games, like, hey, I can have my license card and I can keep playing. I can upgrade my card. That was, I think, that's something that should have taken place years ago.
Mm-hmm.
That they were doing.
I did pick up a DDR Supernova last week too.
Woohoo!
So.
If I hear that all the time, why don't you have a DDR here?
I could have got you one for $1,000.
So you don't want to sit there cleaning the goddamn thing every week. That's what my friend Ted used to have to do. He had to sit there and clean it.
Right.
These are beautiful ones too. I mean, they're not garbage.
And they would complain, "All right, isn't the right pad?" Somehow, one of the kids that used to play DDR at my one arcade got my friend Ted's phone number, and he was like, "Hey Ted, we got a problem. The top upper pad on the player 1 side, it's registering a few frames slower. I think you need to come in and really give it a cleaning." Yeah, it's just like, I don't care. It's just like,
they weren't that bad. I had 7 of them on the road. You clean them once a year. I mean...
Well, if you were on location, though, you wouldn't hear the end of it.
Yeah.
Well, I was at that time.
Maybe with your QR code.
I had 2.
I guess it depends on the people that you have in the area, really.
No, that was when we had the Lions Castle. I had 2 of them in there. I had that in the Groove too, and that's a good game.
Yeah, I have a friend that worked on it. He helped write some of the songs.
Nice.
He did the he did the steps on the song. He didn't write the music.
Just the step charts.
You had to go through those pads like once a year and make sure the screws didn't fall out of those actuators. And I put some funky foam between the pads and the actual the metal actuator, and that seemed to make it more responsive. So that's a little tip, I guess.
My favorite was when you would go to an arcade that they were just getting the game because it was popular, and anybody that has ever seen a Dance Dance Revolution machine knows that the machine is on wheels. So this one arcade that we went to, we're playing it, and it was just little kids playing it. So my friend and I got on it, and we said, oh, let's do a song on medium. And we start getting into like a march step where you had to go faster. The friggin' pad started moving, and I went, whoa, get the hell off the pad now.
Somebody did not set that up right.
So we go up and we try to find a tech. The guy does not speak English. I was just like, you have to lock the pad. Okay? Yeah. The pad is on, and I bring the guy over. It's like, what's your name? Rodrigo? Come over here, Rodrigo. Come over here, buddy. I was just like, look, this is on wheels. It is, and I went like this. I started moving it. I said, someone's going to fall and get hurt. You're going to get sued, like that. And then, like, after I said you are going to be sued, that's when he got up and he just started going, oh, how do I lock this? I said, like, don't look at me, I just play him.
Turn the legs down like any other video game.
Yeah.
How does it work?
I don't know how it works.
Well, a lot of people don't like taking the pads apart to move them, so they move them together, bolted together, and then they bend the frickin' legs off. That's the problem I always had when I get them in. It's a nightmare. I don't know.
I guess should we talk about a couple of the other games that are coming along? Crowdbuster, Grandmaster 2015.
Woohoo! Thank God.
Either one?
Who would have thought that Awesome Games Done Quick would bring that back? For folks that don't know what we're talking about, there's a great group of people that do this project called Awesome Games Done Quick or Great Games Done Quick. I forget the correct acronym. But they brought in these guys that are some of the highest top-level players of a video game from Sega from Japan called Tetris the Grandmaster. And I forget the one guy's name, and it pisses me off because he follows us on Twitter. He's followed us for years. I was like, God damn, I didn't know we had a world champion watching me on Twitter. So, right. This guy, if you ever see this game, it's pretty much like, look up like Impossible Tetris, and pretty much the blocks fall instantly, and it's just something that is when you watch someone that can play it, it's absolutely amazing. And this guy, he went the extra mile. He bought himself a Japanese candy cabinet, and he went out and he bought the Taito. I think it's on a Taito X2, the computer motherboard thing that they got.
Grandmaster 4.
No, Grandmaster 3 is on Taito 2X. So that's like, isn't that like what Street Fighter 4 is on?
Yeah. Yeah, that's Street Fighter 4, Darius Burst, Battle Fantasia, Blaze Blue. I'm just taking a quick look on System16.com.
Great guys
Actually,
over there.
Does not list any Grandmaster for Type X2. Let me double check.
Because the thing was that they had been, for years, everybody thought like they were going to make a Tetris Grandmaster 4. And supposedly they did location tests, and it just never happened. But after this whole thing with the Break Awesome Games Done Quick, and the one guy, when he got home, his Twitch numbers blew up of people watching him on Twitch, and he finally beat the game. He became the only Grandmaster in Tetris outside of the country of Japan. There are no other, because the game's really not available anywhere. Right. So the company Eureka saw this, so now we got a brand new one coming out. It doesn't have the Tetris moniker on it because it's got to follow the Tetris company's guidelines, so it's just called the Grandmaster 2015. But
right.
Hopefully, if EA is smart, they'll say, "Hey, guess what? We got to put that on there. People want to play this."
Well, I did.
I know I do.
From their webpage that it looks like maybe the translation's just wrong, but it almost seemed like they believe that all they have to do is put it out there on Twitter and that'll get them the contact. It seems kind of odd that they would have lost the contact of who to call about Tetris.
Is this thing gonna be a kit? I'm out of the loop.
I don't know yet. What's happening is this weekend in California at Round One USA at the Grand Puente Hills Mall, I think it's called.
Right.
They are doing a U.S. location test for this game. So that was surprising to me. I just thought it would be tested out in Japan, and then maybe we'd get some of the hardcore fans importing.
Maybe they're just gonna film us and make fun of us.
But
stupid Americans can't play this game.
Right. But according to the information out there, it's testing this weekend, and so I guess we'll see how things go from there.
Look for Tetris Masters.
That's the other thing that I think that they should do, because there's all these companies that do these location tests. They make it so you're not allowed to take any photos, any videos. Everything is snuck. Some guy's got his iPhone sticking out of his jacket, and it's like, "Sir, it's 85 degrees in here. Why are you wearing a jacket?" "Oh, I'm not feeling good." But he's recording it. They should just say, "Guess what? Come in, take all the photos, take all the videos that you want, post it everywhere."
There's a reason, and I'll tell you from releasing software and in Cherry Master form, we just, in that location test period, we're still not sure that we haven't stole something from somebody on accident.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to make sure that there's a lot of trademarking going on and stuff like that, and it's not.
Yeah, it's probably, and it's especially for them where they're making this game without the Tetris name on it, so that can probably get them in trouble. But I'm talking it's they have that new Pokemon fighting game that they're doing with Bandai Namco. Pokemon Fighters. They had the same thing. They weren't allowed to show it. Every video that came out was snuck. They should have just said, "You know what? They've got the license. They've been working. They worked on the newest Smash Brothers. How would they not give them the license for it?"
The second thing they're worried about is they don't want to look stupid, and that's a big deal for a big company. I tell you that.
It depends on how you handle it. I mean, take a look at Stern in doing the KISS stuff. I mean, they're being very open, saying, "Hey, this is alpha build so-and-so. This is beta build so-and-so." And I think if you make that obvious, or you put a sign on the machine or whatever, as long as you have the licensing locked up, it's like,
you would.
I mean, I understand doing secret location tests. There's value to that. But the fact, I think what Nick's hinting at is, you can use a location test as a way to drive hype and marketing for your game. Now, obviously, you want that to be as close to the final build as possible, but even if it isn't, I mean, it can be done right. It's been done right before, where when you allow fans to do that and they like it, they talk about it even more. If you clamp it down, then they're less prone to get excited about it and spread the word for you.
Nobody wants to be that executive that did something stupid and gets fired. That's the whole thing. I just tell you, from working at big companies.
I get that, but
they could do a real location test, and then they could do a fake secondary location test that they know it's going to work good, and then they could release that to the public and pretend that it was the first location test. I mean, that would be the smart way of doing it, so they get the best of both worlds.
Yeah, like I said, there's nothing that restricts anybody from doing as many secret location tests as you want. But I mean, the reality of today's world is, if you put something out in public, it's going
to get there anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's just no way you can clamp that down, and so
Right.
you're trying to put your hand and stop the Mississippi River from flowing in the direction it's going. You know, it's just not going to work.
Well, they can deny it, and they take the logo off the game, and they test it. You know, I mean,
yeah,
Atari used to test in 12 sites at once or something like that.
Yeah,
I love reading all the stories about how when they used to like location test games, and I think about like what Eugene Jarvis said about Defender. When the first time they brought out Defender, they took it to a trade show, and you had all these guys uppity-ups in suits that didn't play video games. So what did they do when they saw Defender? This game is too hard. No one's going to play this.
Yep.
So they said, you know what? Let's put this on location test anyway. Let's see what happens.
Let's laugh at it.
Guess what? The game was so hard, people were just like, I want to play it again, and collected like a son of a gun, and look at where we are now. You know, it had a sequel, and Defender's like one of the largest games that ever came out of that era. So it's just like...
Those same people like shunned Pac-Man too.
Oh yeah,
they thought Rally X was the winner.
Yeah, Rally X, that's the future, baby. No one wants to play the same maze over and over again. No one wants that. We got cars that with smoke screen. That's the future. That's the game.
Or I love reading the Atari location test reports or the focus group reports. And back in 1981 and 82, you see all the time there. Player says the game's not hard enough, not challenging enough. Now you probably wouldn't hear that now. You know, it'd all be the opposite. But still, that was the mentality.
My favorite was like recently when Nintendo was doing Smash Brothers 4. They brought it to a number of locations at Best Buys, but I went to New York City. I played it at the Nintendo World store, and they had employees at every booth with the game. There was 3 booths that you could play it at, and each one, there was an employee with a clipboard, and he asked every player, what did you think of the game? And I would tell you would tell the guy, and he said, what did you like? And he was writing down everything. What did you like? He goes, what didn't you like? And he wrote down that. He goes, is there anything that you wanted to see that you haven't seen yet? And like you told, like people were saying that they wanted to see one of their favorite characters that hadn't been announced yet. Oh, I want to see, I want to see the dog from Duck Hunt. And like no one thought that was going to happen, and they put the damn dog in it. So I think it's something that they can use that, get it out there and let people know. If it's something, obviously with the licensing, if they can't do it, like it's probably like, probably Kisses People is a lot better than New Line Cinema is for Jersey Jack. For maybe they can't show up as much as The Hobbit as they want to, but supposedly the mythical third game is supposed to be an original theme. So hopefully when they have that mythical third theme, that third game comes out, maybe they'll be more open and show stuff off with it. I hope that's what they're gonna do.
Right.
Are we going to talk about that, Adam?
Sure. Let's launch into that, I guess.
Should we start with Zidware, or do we want to start with Jersey Jack?
Let's start with Jersey Jack.
So, recently I was trolling Pinside like I normally do, wasting my life away. And I came across this post showing Jersey Jack's Dun & Bradstreet rating today, and it was not very good for them.
What were the ratings? Tell us, Sean.
Oh, everything was poor. And
What does this mean?
For people that don't know what Dun and Bradstreet is, it's a company that you have to pay money. It's like extortion, okay? Because they keep contacting me and want me to. And what they do is they do basically a credit rating of your company, and that's what kind of when you go for a line of credit, that's what they'll look at. They'll take that. Some people require a Dun and Bradstreet report just to get a line of credit, stuff like that. And it basically has to do with financials of your company. They do it like a stress test. To see, if you had X amount of bad things happen, would you survive, etc. I don't know how they do it. That's like a magical formula, but some people were posting that on Pinside, and it seemed to kind of create like, people are sticking their head in the sand. Some people were going, "Oh, there goes Jersey Jack. They're going out like J-pop," and me, I don't know. It is concerning though if they have bad credit. So.
Yeah, there's been talk for a while that there might be some trouble there in Emerald City. Of course, they're not going to talk about that openly or anything like that, and just try and get through it if it's just a bad spot. But
for the record, it is on Pinside, but it was a screen cap of it, and I did go and check. It is there. Mm-hmm. So I mean, it
was legit. Wasn't a made-up screenshot.
It's not hearsay, no. So right. It's not Photoshop.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. So I mean, to me, on one side, it really is depressing that
that's me.
The company that came along that really lit a fire under Stern, I would say.
Yes, definitely.
Is struggling like this because I've seen a few times where Stern wanted to take credit for being the first, like with multicolor LEDs, when in reality it was because Wizard of Oz Pinball introduced that, and now maybe for them that was a little bad thing to talk about so many of their innovative features long before the game was out. But either way, they're the ones that if it wasn't for them, we still might have been getting NBA Pinball again. And that's the more recent one that was just a reskin of an old
Space Jam.
Yeah, Space Jam.
It was Space Jam with the spinner on it.
Yeah, and that's where people were starting to get a little upset with Stern because they were phoning it in. And then Jersey Jack comes along and is like, hey, let's make a pinball table that's innovative and actually feels like it belongs in the 21st century. Mm-hmm. And that's driven Stern to do better. Competition's good.
Right.
So, I don't want to see somebody like Jersey Jack fail. But, there's been a lot of talk, whether it's been these money problems or I've heard from multiple sources, people that got a Wizard of Oz and right out of the box it had technical problems.
My God. The poor thing has been an albatross. Depending on the person that you talk to, like, I have a friend, my friend Steven, who owns one, and he's only had a few problems, but then I've had other people, like, I've talked to the people over at the Las Vegas Pinball Hall of Fame, and they said the thing felt like it was made out of balsa wood. And they knew exactly where the machine was going. It was going to the Pinball Hall of Fame. It was going to be on a place where it was going to be out on location. People were going to be playing it. And the machine is running on unupdated code. Half of the LEDs are out. It looks so pathetic when you're out there. And this is like a major place. They should have made sure, like, okay, this one is not going into some guy's house it's going to get light play. No, this is going to go into the museum. This is going to get played
every day. Yeah.
And I see a lot of the games that none of them are running the slipper flippers. I think they went through 3 variations of the slipper flippers because they kept cracking and destroying on themselves. Right. Most people they say, screw it, I'm running with classic William flippers on it. They work 10 times better.
See, I did not know that.
One of my friends retrofitted it with yellow, like, Williams
WMS flippers.
Regular flipper backs.
It's like the same mechs anyway, I think.
Yeah. It's like, screw it, I can't take this anymore.
Yeah.
It's so bad because, like, he's going on and on about how he's going to do this better, how the machines are going to be better, and then when you go and you look at the machines on location, and they're just getting beat to death. The one at Modern Pinball New York City, if you look at the pop bumper area, almost all the pop bumper area is worn down to white. My one friend, John, who runs the Jack Bar in Williamsburg, his he has the state fair balloon, and
Mhm.
it's almost like a ring of white that it wore out the paint and all the coating
Wow.
on it.
So maybe I dodged a bullet buying Avengers, huh?
Oh, I hate Avengers. That
Oh,
game is
come
awful.
on. I have
It's
an
awful.
LE.
They have an LE for 4,000 at Modern Pinball, and it just sits there. No one wants that thing.
I hate to I mean, it earned more than my Star Trek did last month, but that's
Oh, of course.
movie
The
theater.
thing is, like, was the one thing that I loved that, like, when we talk about pinball is what they were saying on the other podcast that I was listening to. There really is 3 sections of people, because we have, your regular customer, like your kids that are going to walk in, they're going to see the Avengers, and they're going to say, hey, what do I hit? If I hit the Hulk, he's going to go crazy, and all the balls are going to come out. For them, that's fun. You got a guy like me who's been playing for years. I play the Avengers, and I was like, I hate it because, like, there's certain things on it that I can't see. Like, they cover up the Thor drop targets. You can barely see them and stuff like that.
Thor, yeah.
Yeah, you can barely see the drop targets. You can barely see the inlanes
Yeah,
and stuff like
I
that.
modded mine so you can see the inlanes. That makes a hell of a difference.
Yeah, you can't see the inlanes. You can't see the drop targets, and like you can hit the Hawkeye ramp over and over again, and just use that and just bank on it for points. So you got people that play it for kind of like more skill level and stuff like that, and then you also have the people that buy it for their home. So you have just like this whole section of people, and people that also, and I guess like players, and also for you guys that have routes and have locations that they put a game on. Because like if I went to Adam's place and I see his line of 3 games, I see Shrek, I see Indiana Jones, and Star Trek. I can tell you right now, as a player, I'm going right for Star Trek.
Yeah, and I like that game better too, but I'm just...
as a player's game. And I know if a kid walked in there, he's gonna see Shrek, and he's just like, "Oh, look at the donkey! He's got the little cool little pinball machine
Shrek
on
ain't
it." I want,
jokes and they fart.
yeah, they're farting and stuff like that. And maybe you'll have an old schooler come and go, "Oh man, Indiana Jones! I love that movie." And they're gonna play Indiana Jones. Meanwhile, I walk up to Indiana Jones, I was like, "This is shallow as heck." It's got the 1 ramp. They still haven't put. They're never gonna put anything in for the 4th movie.
Right.
So
we're pretty spoiled with pinball right now.
Yeah.
I mean, when I worked for Namco at Aladdin's and stuff, we would have to beg to get a pinball machine, a pinball machine,
Mhm.
and I got stuck with episode 1. At first, we had a Theater of Magic, which I played the
I
shit
love
out
that
of that game. They sold it for $1,200.
Wow.
And I wish I would have bought it back then.
Nice.
And then
If you knew, man.
they had a Medieval Madness too that went for $1,200.
Because pinball is really, it's being played more than ever. I mean, when you go back and you look at some of the old games, I mean, really go back. They were just made to turn a profit. Like you talk about like you go to Pinball Hall of Fame in Las Vegas and you look at that whole rows, those 4 and 5 rows of the electromechanical Gottlieb wedgehead rows. And there's like, it just had some art that they changed up. Sometimes the playfields are almost exactly identical, but people didn't care. It was fun. They would play it. And then you have people that are playing it longer and longer. Like, people, like, they didn't think of, like, what's the wizard mode in bank shot or flip a card? There were no bank shots. How high can I get the score? Can I roll it? How many times can I roll it?
Eventually, we got stuck with South Park.
Mm-hmm.
And that thing stayed in there for probably 6 years.
Well, that thing killed. I mean, like, if you watch Tilt the Battle to Save Pinball, they said about how much money they spent in research and development to do Pinball 2000, and here comes their most technologically advanced pinball machine that ever came out, and Sega comes out with South Park, and South Park destroyed most places on location.
It was really easy. It was really easy for people to understand what you were supposed to do. There was like, it's just like shoot this guy over and over until he lights up, and then that's all you had to do.
It was a theme that was white hot at the time. I mean, everybody had South Park T-shirts
and
stuff on. Everybody was watching that show. It had all the voices, you know,
Guess they should have done it as a Pinball 2000 game.
Yeah. But that was the problem for them, was they put all their eggs into that Star Wars basket. I mean, even at the time, even back then, like if hindsight's 2020, everybody still would have went with Star Wars because it's a proven winner. And then it comes out and like people don't like the movie, and the word of mouth just went so bad with that game. People are like, this game's terrible, don't buy it.
Well,
but there's a lot of other things with Star Wars Episode 1. Watch Tilt the Battle.
In our arcade at the time back then, we had only one pinball, and they all earned the same. No matter which one we put in there, there would be a slight boost for the first couple months, but like it would average out to be the same. I mean, no matter which one it was. Episode 1, South Park. God, what was the other ones we had? I get confused. That was so long ago. That was probably, when PlayStation 2 came out, whatever the hell that was.
Old timer.
Shut up.
I mean, I feel so bad for. It was like a stretch of games that came out in the late 90s and early 2000s that I didn't get to play a lot of. But I mean, if you find one of those games, like I'm talking about, like The Grid, Solar Assault, and like all these like great like Planet Harriers from friggin' Sega.
Doesn't Galloping Ghost has The Grid?
Yeah, they have the full 6.
The 3 player. It's 3.
Nope, they have a 6.
They've updated. That's got to be the biggest set of grids out in the public in the world.
Could you do 6? I only saw
6.
like the flyer. It had the thing with the 3 terminals in the top.
You can do 6 terminals.
Oh wow, okay.
So they have the full 6-player terminal. But I mean, there's so many great games that were coming out, but everybody was so spoiled with PlayStation and their GameCubes and their Xboxes, and I just felt so bad that they were just coming out with these great games and no one played them.
I remember when PS2 came out and the arcade took a hit. Before that was Dreamcast, but not so much. And we were still rocking on the Midway stuff like Rush 2049, Hydro Thunder. Those games are earning good.
Hydro Thunder, sorry.
Gauntlet, up until it came out on N64, earned really well too. And we were starting to get DDRs in. There was we'd have Soul Calibur 2 tournaments and stuff. And
DDR really felt like, for me, was like a second coming of the arcade, because it was something that you could do at home, but if you wanted it, if you really wanted that real experience, you had to go to the arcade.
We had so many parties, man.
Especially since how bad Konami was at the time with getting the game out onto the American consoles, and when they got the game out, they couldn't get a lot of the licensed songs. So that was a thing.
You couldn't still play it at home decently, though,
they had decent pads and stuff like that. I still have my first party pad from when I bought the game, I think in 99 when the game came out in America.
I played a lot of that game, and part of it was like you wanted to go out and show off too, man.
Oh yeah, it was very social. We had a lot of met a lot of people doing that. We did a lot of tournaments, a lot of lock-in parties. We would rent out the arcade, and the guy would put the DDR machine on for a quarter. But the only caveat was like everybody else is waiting for it, so you got to play it probably twice. But it was fun. I really miss it.
I met my wife playing DDR.
Aww.
By the way, congrats on the third little one there.
Thank you. Thank you much.
Player 3, I guess.
Yes. Player 4.
Yes. Player 3. Technically, if you're just looking at kids, but yeah, I play video games with my kids all the time. So.
I try to, but I just suck. My kid whoops my ass at Mario Kart now.
I'm trying to teach my 5-year-old nephew how to play Mario the other day, and I say, all you have to do, go to the right. She goes left. Come on.
It's gotta be like my cousin when I first played Super Mario Brothers. Check down that hole. It's a secret passage, and of course it's a where you die, and he laughs it up. But
my favorite was my mom when we got the NES in '86, Christmas Day '86. I'm like, Mom, you gotta play Mario. You gotta see this game. And it's like, why is there a second button on here? She was so used to the Atari 2600. So I was like, you have to hold the B button and then press the A button to jump, so you have a running jump. I don't understand this, but have fun with it. It seems like it's fun. Like that, she got up and left.
I grew up on Atari, so I was like this hardcore Atari console camp guy. So I bought the 7800, and I was like wearing Atari shirts, and everyone else is playing Nintendo, and I'm like, God damn it! I finally broke it.
That was kind of me, except we didn't have the money. My parents, when they got me an Atari finally after years of begging for playing it at my friends' houses. I mean, I wanted a Nintendo too, because everybody was playing Nintendo, but they could afford the Atari 2600 Junior, and I didn't even know the 7800 existed until a few years later.
I remember the video game crash, like when you go to Primeway and like they had games for 99 cents.
Oh,
and like
it was Oddlot. We had the bucket of the trash dumpster full of games for like $1 a piece. And I remember it was like, oh, it's a great video game crash. It was like, as a consumer, no one cared. It was
awesome.
I was just like, I can go into a store with my regular money that I earned for like doing chores around the house. My parents always got me started early with chores. We always had like a chore list, and whatever we did, we got like $1 or 50 cents depending on what the chore was. So I could take all that money that I earned every month, and I could buy like 5 or 6 games. I wasn't upset about the video game crash,
And then
I was having fun.
You played them to death, and even though there was a crash, and by the time you wanted to play games again, Nintendo came out. It was like, whatever, like.
Oh man, I tell the story about when they aired the very first Nintendo commercial that I ever saw, where it's the kids on the space station and the TVs are popping out with the controllers. I saw that, and I just ran into the kitchen going, Mom, you have to see this thing on TV! Because I remember playing, like, because they had the Nintendo Versus games. I was like, oh my god, that's the duck hunting game that I played with the big black, the big black metal gun. I remember playing that. I can play that at home. I have to have that. And I'm like 5 years old. I didn't know. It was like, yeah, it's $200. I was like, I don't care. That's the only thing I want for Christmas, and that was the only thing I got for Christmas. That and a couple of clothes.
Do you, Nick? Do you actually own any arcade games? Like,
I own a 2-slot Neo Geo motherboard. That's about it.
Okay. So I thought I saw some pictures of a candy cab you had or something.
Oh, that's all the pictures that you see off the Instagram account are from a lot of my other friends' stuff. I have that's from my friend Harry has. He's got two candy cabinets in his upstairs room. He's got a Capcom Big Blue, the Z-back.
Oh, jeez.
He's got the Street Fighter.
He's got that upstairs?
He's got that upstairs.
Oh, my God.
And then he's got a 4-slot Big Red Neo Geo. Downstairs in his basement, he's got another, I think it's a Sega Astro City. He's got it he's got it Tate for shmups.
Okay.
He's got Final Lap 3. He's got a Junior Final Lap 3.
Weird.
It's so nice. I mean, like, you rarely ever see Final Lap 3, let alone one of the miniature versions. And it's real. I mean, the thing looks brand new the way he has it. He's got a Street Fighter cabinet that was from an old Defender and a Gorgar pinball machine. That's what he has in his lineup.
Jesus.
But these guys were lucky; they got in on it when the stuff was cheap. I have to get a video of the one guy, Mike. We have one of our friends, Mike. He is the resident Nintendo expert of the Long Island Arcade Club, and the man owns every NES game except for 2. He does not own Little Samson, and he does not own Stadium Events, or of course the NWC Championship cards. He owns everything but like 3 games.
But he doesn't have the World Championship. Okay.
Yeah. So basically, he's got the reproductions of them. So technically, he has every game.
Right.
So it's funny. You go over there and he goes, "Hey, you want to see the wall?" And I'm like, oh my god, like that. I feel like I'm in Software Etc. as a kid. Every game he's gotten there.
I got one of those sharp Nintendo TV things sitting in my office.
Oh, those are really nice. I love those things. I wish I had one. But like, you go downstairs into his basement. He's got a lineup of pretty much almost every Nintendo game, like dedicated.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah.
He's got two of the Nintendo Versus Red tents.
Okay.
And he has every Versus game. He has every Versus game and every Play Choice game. Even like,
Even
you know, like,
Mario Open Golf.
yep, he's got Mario Open Golf.
Legend of Zelda. I think I saw Game Galaxy Arcade in Tennessee was saying that they have the only Legend of Zelda on a Play Choice that's known out in the wild.
Right.
Yeah, I never. That was so weird because it does have like the instruction screen on it. It's like I've seen enough people that do there's the guys that have a Play Choice thing that you can put Nintendo cartridges in.
So, one of the modified ones.
Yeah, you're gonna hate my one friend Brendan. He got one for free. He got a freaking Nintendo Play Choice for free.
There was some legit ones that played NES cards. Like,
that was like they sold them in back of Sears catalogs, but they didn't look like they didn't look like that.
Are you sure? I thought there were some arcade ones later that was just timed.
No, all of them are timed. The thing is that those cartridges are special.
Are they still special? I couldn't remember.
He's got the Mike Tyson's Punch-Out one that has a battery on it, and it's actually a different version because whenever you knock out one of the opponents, there's a top 10 list of the knockout times on it. And that's not in the home version. That's only in that version on the Play Choice. It's really cool.
Interesting.
But he bought the cartridge thing, and he bought a power pack, so he's got every game in it, so he doesn't have to switch out anything. But I mean, the thing that he got, man, it is pristine. It is gorgeous. I was like, you are the luckiest SOB in this whole field of collecting and playing that I've ever met. I mean, he just gets so many good things for free.
Well, you show up over here in Wisconsin, I got a couple you can just have.
Hey, there you go.
Noted.
I'm not hauling them anywhere. I'm just gotta clean out that warehouse.
There you go. So I'm sorry for cutting you guys off and
this
running on
excellent.
tangent. Yeah.
No, it's good. Good to have you here, man. I mean, it's awesome.
I don't know how long you guys usually do your episodes.
We don't. Whatever,
I guess everybody's been listening to the hour and a little bit that we've done, like an hour and 20 minutes-ish so far. Well, I mean, there's still stuff to talk about. I mean, if roll the dice.
You're asking me? I'm just the guy that spits out stuff that's not true.
Both of you guys. What do you want to talk about? Crowdbuster or Zidware and the drama that is behind that?
Oh, boy.
Do you got like 2 hours to kill for Zidware? I mean...
We can narrow it down. I mean...
John's a poopy head. He stole everyone's money and went to Jamaica. There you go.
There you go. It didn't take 2 hours. 2 seconds.
Hey, I have one of those Ben Heck signed T-shirts too. The Ben Heck in Zombieland. I have it. John Papadou signed it.
So
that's
did
worth
that
money
game
now.
actually exist? Did they actually make some of those, or was that just another one of the scams where I'm building a game here, don't worry, it's coming soon, and I'm using the money to fund my other games.
The first time I met Ben Heck was like 3 years ago, I think now, and we gave him parts for his Xbox Coin Up episode where he's making that timer thing.
Yeah.
And he invited me down to Midwest Gaming Classic. I never went because I usually work so much. And like, he's like, I'll buy a hot dog or a beer or something. I'm like, okay. So the first time I saw him, he was sitting on stage with John Papadou selling Ben Heck in Zombieland, trying to say it's $10,000. If you pay a little extra, we will come to your house and build it for you. Something like that. Oh. So okay. That's how I was introduced to the whole J-pop thing myself. I don't know. What about you guys? Where's the first time you heard about it?
Oh, I've heard about it just online. I do remember coming across news on Ben Heck's Zombieland Adventure, but I've never seen a picture of one. That's why I was asking. I mean, is it legit, or did Ben pull out of it at some point?
Well,
Ben, I don't know a whole lot. I guess like a lot of people out there that are confused by what this whole Zidware situation is, and Magic Girl Pinball. I mean, I've read some, but I don't have enough time to read.
There was
5 million pages of forum.
I know. It's just like, I don't even get into it. I was like, okay, the gist of it is they promised to make a game, buy it sight unseen. He took their money, and then like something like they said like, oh, we'll put you into another game, but you're only gonna get like a percentage of what you actually put into it. I was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, that was another company called Pintasia. This guy up in Canada was starting that to try to. He bought the license to it because Zidware went bankrupt, or John admitted he's finally bankrupt after 4 years. But but Pintasia finally came out and said, you know what, people don't. They brought a prototype to the Northwest show, and it was a piece of crap. I guess the art was good, but everything else, it didn't shoot for no one. They couldn't get a video of somebody making a ramp shot. I mean, they had you know, and they couldn't put the glass on because the ball would get hung up so much. It was bad. So they basically said, you know what, we're putting our hands up. We're not going to make the game. We tried. Too bad. You know, so sad. That prototype has now since gone missing, I guess. No, I'm serious. That's what they're. I mean, it was supposed. No one. They're fighting over who has to pay to ship it back to Chicago. So I guess people are like, well, that's. And now it's like everyone's. There's a bunch of vultures kind of going picking at stuff, like saying, hey, this is mine. I want like my $4 out of this when we divide it all up back. You know.
My understanding is that originally there's at least 5 or 6 people that have filed a lawsuit against John, seeking damages, and I believe the first hearing was originally scheduled for June 12th, but now it's been pushed back to June 18th. That was the last thing I had read.
Right, that's
but
true.
Either way, it looks like it is definitely going through to court. I don't know how many other people are going to join in on it. From what I read, some are just like, fine, whatever. I mean, I guess that's what you were referring to, Nick, earlier, is if somebody spent, I don't know how much they had to put down on a pre-order for that, but if it was several $1,000s, and just like, whatever, lost.
Well, it's like something like they said it was $8,000 or something like that, and they said, the new price would be $10,000. So if you wanted to, you could. It didn't even sound like your $8,000 even counted. It was like you got like.
They made you buy it twice.
You got like 3.5 for it. I was like, where the hell did the money go?
Yeah, I went down a black hole, and I talked to John not at this last Midwest Gaming Classic, but the year before, because we were in the same vicinity of the hotel together, and the power went out, and we all kind of wandered down the lobby together. And I asked him, what's going on with your games? How's it going? Nice to see you. And how much do they cost? Because I'm just inquiring to see if maybe we'd want to get one. He's like, they're like $18,000. I'm like, okay, dude. I'm like, kind of like, okay, good luck, man. Like, I'm not buying a $7,000 pinball machine anymore. I'm sure. So I'm like, good luck with that. And I'm just, I don't know. The price is kind of like musical chairs. I know that Ben Heck left. Because of Spooky Pinball, because Charlie was bugging him to do a game, and John had a fit. Like, it's either you got to pick which side you want to be on, kind of thing. And Ben's like, "Well, screw you. You're kind of an idiot. No offense, John." Right. And well, you can come to my house, and I'll whatever. But
it still took a lot for him because he was having a game designed that was a licensed Ben Heck game, so I'm sure that took a bit of.
Like the only.
Well, I guess he didn't get that permission either.
The only thing I saw from that game was like a picture of what the cabinet art was going to look like, or the translite. I never saw anything of the game. I never saw Whitewood.
No, they never did a Whitewood first. They did the artwork first.
Yeah,
it's crazy. So
like, I'll sell it on there. I like watching Ben's stuff. I swear, I think half of the followers on Twitter that I have are from Ben and Jerry Ellsworth, are half of our followers.
Nice.
And I'm still in the promo for Spooky's America's Most Haunted too.
Oh my God, that game is so much fun! I love that game. I've only got to play it once, unfortunately. I want to play it some more.
I'm the only voice that got cut from that game.
Aww.
I'm crying every day. I'm still in the promo video though. Yes.
Oh, hey, that's a bonus.
I get no credit.
So it's funny because like I went to I didn't get to go to the this year's Pinfest in Allentown, Pennsylvania, the Allentown Pinfest, but they had America's Most Haunted with the 75th anniversary Wizard of Oz. There was more of a line of people wanting to play America's Most Haunted to Wizard of Oz because most of the people had already played Wizard of Oz. I was like, I want to see this new thing. And I got a pretty good video of it.
It's a pretty good game, I have to admit.
I mean, I got to play the very first production one that came off of the line. they brought that to the show, and the guy's just like, yeah, this is the very first one. It's off the line. If something happens, then we're gonna nip it in the bud now while we have it here. So he said, beat the hell out of it. I went, I plan on it.
I've actually played the prototype one that's in Ben's shop more, so I never actually played a production one until last year's Midwest Gaming Classic.
Mm-hmm.
And it plays a lot better in production, I'll just tell you that. I played it with the foam ramps, you know. He's like, "Oh, this is, you know, it's like okay."
And this is from like a first-time designer, and it comes out just. And I hate to like, I feel like we're jumping on John Papadou, but I mean, like, I go back and I was playing Mustang. I was like, I wish this was America's Most Haunted. It's got humor. It's funny. It's got a bunch of other cool stuff in it. And like, this is just vroom and a guy yelling multi-ball and jackpot at me. Whoop-de-doo.
Yeah, I don't know how much John Papadou was in the shop when they were designing America's Most Haunted too. I don't know how much of that influence kind of rubbed off. Mm-hmm. I know it is Ben's actually technically third game that he made.
Yeah.
He did make Bill Paxton, and then there was a lost game in the middle that never got finished because it was very bad. And it's definitely best design, and it's a pretty. I mean, it's a decent, fast game.
I wish I could go to Uncle Lloyd's and play Bill Paxton. I know Bill Paxton's at Uncle Lloyd's at S&S Billiards. I really want to play that.
It's totally hilarious. I mean, I wish they could make something like that with all that license material, but, I mean, it would never happen.
Yeah.
But, I mean...
the beer can that crunches and there's a burp every time it shakes the beer.
The last time I got to play that was at last year's Expo, I think. Not this year, but the year before, I think. But anywho, so poor John, he's probably, I don't know. I feel bad for the guy, you know, I mean, kind of. I mean, I honestly don't think he's a crook. I think he just was... I mean,
in over his head.
Yeah, I don't... You know... It seemed like he wanted to right all the wrongs that happened to him at Williams by all the stuff they made him take off. He tried putting it all on this one game, and he ran out of money real quick. And
it just looked like, you know, from the videos that I saw, it just looked like a whole friggin' hodgepodge. Like, I was like, oh my god, this is like they just felt like they put too much stuff in on this like thing. This like, it's kind of like what if you listen to what Pat Lawler called. Twilight Zone called In Excess Pinball. It's just like there's too much on it.
Yeah, I don't like that game for that reason. I like playing it, but I don't like having one.
Exact opposite of Whoa Nelly.
I mean, I don't know. As an operator, it's like I have like 15 minutes to fix something usually, and a lot of times it's on the movie theater floor.
Yeah.
So, I mean, pinball machines definitely. I keep them close to home. So, how's it going, Adam? You sound pretty quiet there, guy.
I'm just listening in, that's all.
This is we're kind of rambling podcast, I guess.
Living the dream. Living
the dream. Bunch of ramblers.
Now, is there anything else we want to add in?
So what was the Neo Geo game that you're talking about? What are the guys working on?
Did you guys...
from the Neo Geo dev team?
Krautbuster?
Yeah, NG dev team for Krautbuster. I guess some people are offended by that, but
yeah, I wouldn't buy that up here.
These days, I don't care. New trailer came out for it this week. Not sure if either of you saw that.
No, sorry.
I have not. Tell the kids.
The original trailer that came out back in March, I believe it was a homage to something like Metal Slug. Now, I think some people, at least from the comments I was reading, have the impression that Metal Slug is the only run-and-gun game in existence, which is BS.
Only
you know, yeah.
Contra. What the hell is a Contra?
Sunset Riders. What's that?
But obviously there haven't been a lot of run-and-gun games. I mean, Metal Slug kind of has finished the genre off. Now, it still does well. I have a Metal Slug 6. I've had a Metal Slug 1. Both have done pretty well for their age. But you haven't really had too many other games coming along trying to do that same thing. I mean, there was Dolphin Blue back in 2003 or 2004. IGS, a Taiwanese company, did Demon Front a few years back. But yeah, this one, it obviously has plenty of influences from Metal Slug, but they are doing a lot where they're trying to distinguish themselves from being just being a Metal Slug clone. Part of that is the stages. They say that they don't tile anything. It's 9,000 pixel wide stages. I think the artwork looks pretty good. I mean, it looks, if it was released back in the 90s, I don't think anybody would have complained at all. And they have some Contra-style controls going on there. They're tinkering with ideas from shmups, if you want to call them that, scrolling shooter games, like having wingmen type things, helping you shoot. They have masks to upgrade your abilities temporarily until you pick up another mask. So it's got some interesting ideas there, and it's coming for the Neo Geo MVS. So it can go into arcades out there that still have a Neo Geo. I mean, as we speak, I don't know if you can hear it, but there's a guy playing King of Fighters 2002 on my Neo Geo.
Better Puzzle Bobble. I'm telling you, if you have a Neo Geo and you have a Puzzle Bobble in it, there's always going to be a lady in front of it, because that is the lady's choice. Ladies love that game.
I have one of those.
that and Magical Drop. Those games the puzzle games always make the money with those Neo Geos.
Unfortunately, I've had very little success with puzzle games at my arcade. I have Magical Drop 2. I've had that in my Neo Geo for a very long time, but I'm almost to the point where I might swap it out with something else. I don't have Puzzle Bobble. I should get that. I would love to try that, or one of them. I know there's 4 of them for the MVS, I believe.
Yeah. One of my favorites was one of the arcades that we used to go to was like a Nathan's Fun Center. It was a very large population of a lot of people from Mexico, a lot of people from El Salvador and stuff like that. So what were these guys all doing on a Friday night? You would go to the Neo Geo. They were stacked in front of it playing Super Sidekicks 2. All night these guys would play. They would do like round robin tournaments, and it sounded like they were watching a game on TV, drinking beer, like that, screaming at each other. It was you just sit there and watch them play. And I actually one time walked onto it. They just completely annihilated me. It was absolutely brutal. But it just shows like every different place that you go to, especially with Neo Geo, what are the people playing? Because do they want to play the fighting games? Do they want to play the running guns? Do they want to play, some of more of the traditional action games?
I don't think it has a real good accounting system to tell you which game they're playing.
So Adam, I have to ask you a question while I got you on the horn. What's up with that that thing that you were testing for Pac-Man Battle Royale? Is that in all Pac-Man Battle Royales now? Like it had like that, like improved AI or something on it, or is that something only that you got because you asked for it?
As far as I'm aware, I'm the only one that got one.
No, he's the only one that's got one, and I'm really pissed off.
Oh, come on, guys. Come on. Bandai Namco, if you're listening to it, come on, man. I mean, Pac-Man Battle Royale is doing some really good business. I wanted to see that upgrade that they were doing.
Yeah, the one player sucks. Come on, Namco.
Oh, man. It's like, that is a party-required game. That's the only problem with that game, is if you're not with a bunch of people, like if you're not at a Dave & Buster's and everybody's got like a drink and they have it in there to play it, don't even bother playing it.
Yeah, that's exactly what this was designed for. Now, I mean, I guess I would have to follow up with them and see if they would say, yeah, we sent it out to others. I mean, it was originally designed as the kits that they were supposed to roll out, but...
What is it officially called, your version?
Well, they didn't...
I'm going to call them tomorrow and yell.
They didn't officially call it anything, so I gave it a name, and then I've heard them refer to it like that once or twice. I call it Pac-Man Battle Royale Tournament Edition.
Tournament Edition,
huh? I mean, it's not a huge difference. I mean, graphically it's the same. The gameplay core-wise is the same. It's just if you are playing with 1 or 2 or even 3 people, it's always got 4 on there, which are controlled by the CPU, and they have different abilities. Like on the Pac-Man Battle Royales that are out there, the CPU it sucks. I mean, it's a
very, very dumb
CPU. But this one, it does have varied intelligence levels, I guess you could say. But you can also go into the options as an operator and set how many Pac-Man you want, or CPU Pac-Man you want. I just set it to 4 and kept it that way. But on top of that, at the end of each match, it shows it has a different system. I believe the original one, it's been a long time since I played it. What does it show? It like tells you how many dots one player ate, or how many.
Yeah, it's really
How many fruit?
Right. This one, it's just pure tournament where it like shows first, second, third, fourth, and whoever's in first, they have a crown on their head that glows and all that. So it's more designed to incentivize tournament style play, but it works really well as a single player game finally, which, I mean, overall I would say it's what the game should have launched as, but not really sure why they didn't do that or why they didn't offer the upgrades out there.
That's it. I'm calling them tomorrow. I'm mad.
Well, one thing to note is it wasn't a USB stick upgrade that they sent along. I had to send the other board back, and so
that's probably why.
Yeah, that's probably why they didn't want to produce how many hundreds or thousands of those.
They can flash those boards. It's not that.
Yeah, I would assume so, because I mean the board looks exactly the same. I guess it's on willpower.
That's it. I want my money back.
Well, as a player, you know, like I would have loved that to play with 4 AI-controlled opponents. Then, you know, I mean, when I was playing it, I found out it was actually easier to just bump the other Pac-Man normal size into a ghost than actually going and grabbing the power pellet and then running and trying to chomp on him.
Yep. Not as exciting to do it that way.
It's like extra skill, ain't it? No, I don't know.
A little bit.
I played it like 4 times.
Yeah, I haven't played it in a while because, like Nick said, you need to have a crowd for it to really work. And like we had in the last podcast, I mean, people can go really crazy about it, and it's a lot of fun. Usually when my kids come to the arcade, it's one of the games they always want to play. And you know, it still has the elements in it that make it fun, especially for kids, like in between levels, hitting the start button to splatter the other Pac-Man with.
You should do the beat the owner tournament, where like if they beat you and they beat you, you have to give them $5 in tokens. Like,
yeah. Well, that's harder to do, you know, if I tell people they can do that any time, since I always have to stay here.
No, you just have it like on a Tuesday night. That's what we said. Namco actually tried that with air hockey.
Uh-huh.
And I don't remember how it went, though. That's not good. They have went bad. They may have paid too many tokens. I can't remember.
Right. Yeah. Be careful. Well, I do a thing here.
You have to be
I do
good, Adam.
Well, yeah, you got to pick a game I'm awesome at, of course. But
or they just do hockey leagues. One of my arcades used to do that. They used to do Tuesday night hockey leagues, and people would come out. They actually had teams. People would come and they would do air hockey teams.
Yeah, that's a big thing some places.
True. Yeah, that's.
Well, we have it out in the city. We have friggin' skee ball league.
Yeah, I've heard about skee ball leagues, shuffleboard leagues.
Hey.
You got there's the Full Circle Lounge in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, that has 3 skee ball lanes. That's where they started it from. They said, you know what, we want our own bar, so they opened up their own bar.
You guys got any of the beer balls down by you? It's skee ball, but it's called beer ball.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the game.
It's called Brewski Balls, I think.
No, it's called beer ball.
Yeah, it's by Baytech. It has an LCD in the topper. Well, there's a version with an LCD.
There's also a root beer one too, I think.
Oh, really? I haven't seen the root beer one. I've seen beer ball and I've seen Fireball Fury, which is pretty much the same thing, just with a kid-friendly skin.
I just think of Zeke's Peak and Ice Cold Beer from Tato.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of that too. just look at the logo.
Plants vs. Zombies. What's going on with that? I saw the photos of it, but I've never seen it anywhere. I've seen Doodle jump in enough places to choke a moose, though.
Maybe it tested bad. I don't know. Do you know, Adam?
At least.
That's right. I think I did see it on. Was it Sega does it for Europe? I think.
Yeah. So
it's an ice game, right?
There's actually 3 versions of Plants vs. Zombies. There's 2 versions of Plants vs. Zombies: The Last Stand, which is a redemption game. One's just what you would call a standard cabinet. The other one's a deluxe, where it's just difference in cabinet sizes, screen sizes. Both of them are sit-down cabinets. It's a light gun game. It's in 3D. You shoot the zombies with your pea shooter. You do have multiple levels to explore, choose from, bonuses, things of that nature. Then they also have a whack-a-mole version of Plants vs. Zombies. And so I do know for certain that was released, that's out there. I don't know how well it's been selling, but I mean, in addition to Sega bringing it to every single trade show for the past 2 years, I've seen pictures of them out there at a FEC or 2.
Okay, I see a picture of it. There it is.
And everybody's fighting for the Angry Birds and Flappy Bird license and all that other stuff.
Oh, go ahead.
It's like as soon as it's like, if it's a hot property on the mobile, like they have to get that out in the arcades. They got to make that into a redemption.
Yeah.
Actually, surprised we haven't seen Crossy Road yet.
I'm sorry, what?
Game?
Crossy Road, the Frogger clone-ish.
Oh, okay.
Kind of like an isometric Frogger with lots of different animals you can choose from, and also randomized, procedurally generated levels, I think. It's been pretty popular on mobile from what I've heard, and so I'm surprised we haven't seen it already, but I'm sure somebody's working on one out there right now as we speak.
They already got that crappy Konami one, Konami Frogger game that you just press the button and the frog just hops really slowly and gets hit by the first thing.
The Frogger one that Rothrills did a couple years ago.
Yeah, my friend Gerard got a video of it. He's like, "Oh, cool, a Frogger game," and it's just like,
Yep.
"This is the worst thing I ever played. I got to take a video of this and say how bad it is."
I bet you it earns well.
Oh yeah, because it's huge. It's got a big
It
frog
turned
on it.
really well at first, and then it dropped like a rock and water.
The kids that are playing that don't know the difference, man.
Yeah.
I just,
But I think what happens is that you have your parents standing behind you saying, "Hey, you should play this. When I was your age, I was playing it too. It was awesome." And then they find out, oh, all you do is push the button once? What
There's
is
no
this
interactivity
crap?
for it.
This is not going to let you play this anymore. That
I'm just,
sort of thing.
Well, the Plants vs. Zombies has a pedestal gun. It's not a light gun.
Yeah, it's basically like a mounted light gun.
But there's no light involved. It's a pedestal pop gun.
I know, but nobody. You can't say pedestal game and people be like, "Oh yeah, I get what you're saying."
Those were the first gun games, really.
They were, but nobody thinks of them like that.
Those are the ones I like the most.
I use the incorrect
Terminator
terminology
2s, baby.
to appeal to the millennials. Is what I'm doing.
Oh yeah, I know.
Let's take this opportunity to end it up then.
We'll give a shout out. Nick should give a shout out to whoever he wants to. Like his website.
Go right ahead,
Yo,
Nick.
man, I gotta give shout-outs to my boy JC down there in Jersey. Hold it down, man. You gotta thank you guys so much for having me on. If you want to know more about me and what I do, as I'll just do what I do at the end of my podcast. I'll just say you can find us on all your favorite social media platforms. Just look up The Arcade Hunters. We're on YouTube. We're on Facebook. We're on the Instagram, Tumblr, and of course the Twitters. You can find us all on there. We do our podcast. We've got videos, and we got the website where we have a blog. The blog will have pretty much like expanded versions of pretty much like what I do with the videos. I'll add a little more stuff, and Gerard and I are always doing at least a picture or two a day. Unfortunately, we had 2 great people passed away. We had first Christopher Lee passed away, so I got the photo of Two Towers multi-ball in the Lord of the Rings pinball machine. And then we just found out that Dusty Rhodes passed away. The American Dream, Dusty Rhodes from WWF. So,
I heard that. I heard that when I was on Steam ago.
Yeah, 69 years old, American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. Common man. So, I thankfully I still have my action figure of Dusty, so I posted a photo.
Hey, that's probably worth a ton on eBay now.
Oh, it's so sad when I go downstairs. I was looking at all my old wrestling figures, like, this guy's dead, this guy's dead, this guy's dead.
Don't do that if you want to have a happy day.
The Ultimate Warrior, no!
I have my Ultimate Warrior. I had my Ultimate Warrior, my Big Boss Man, Dusty Rhodes and Andre the Giant. They're all gone.
I have to admit, though, I listened to your podcast about the wrestling pinball, and I had to try out the WWE Network.
Oh, it's
and my
so
wife was rolling her eyes.
It's so bad because you're gonna go down the rabbit hole and you're not coming back. It's fantastic. And especially you got stuff like NXT on there. Great stuff that those guys are doing. The pay-per-views are $10 instead of paying $65 for the friggin' pay-per-view.
That's my plan. I'm gonna pretty much subscribe like the month before WrestleMania and then kind of.
Well, that's what
cancel.
A lot of folks do.
I haven't watched wrestling since WCW was on TNT, to be honest. and
that's what you do. You go back and they have everything on there. They have all the old stuff, so you can just go back there and relive your childhood, see other stuff that you haven't seen. It's a good time.
Even stuff that was like really old stuff. I was enjoyed watching some of the really really old stuff from like 70s. Mm-hmm. I mean, that was crazy.
I know they they keep expanding the library, so hopefully they'll get more. So I'll cut off and we can talk about wrestling a lot. So let's pimp you guys out, get you guys some stuff.
If you want to reach Adam, you can find him at the Game Grid Arcade, I believe, and he has a website.
Celebrating 7 years.
Or you can, it's still been 7 long years.
Video only, baby. How do you do that?
Very carefully. Well, it's a mixture of new and old. Is what I think makes it work in decent foot traffic area, not too far from a movie theater. All those.
And you got the exclusive stuff. I mean, how many, as we were saying, how many friggin' Chase Headquarters 2 have you seen out there and stuff like that? The arcade Street Fighter 4 and.
How many Darius bursts?
Darius bursts.
One.
In English.
The only English version, right? Is that the only English version?
As far as I am aware. I mean, I've heard of a lot more people who are out there importing Darius Burst EX, but those are all in Japanese.
Yep.
I'm not aware of anybody else that has an English version, just because there was this one that's sitting in front of me, and there was one in the UK, but after the arcade that had the UK location test version closed, no idea what happened to it. It probably went back to Japan and was rebuilt as a Darius Burst EX is my best guess.
Whether they shipped it back?
Most likely. I mean,
it might cost more.
Unless the UK distributor grabbed it and has it collecting dust in their warehouse. I don't know. I just haven't heard anything from about it since. I mean, that distributor over there in the UK, Electrocoin, they're really good friends with Taito. Of course, Taito is not really doing anything anymore, so they haven't been bringing much stuff over to the UK there. But anyways,
it just pisses me off when I read that. When I read your whole thing about it, how I'm thinking of all the places that they could have put that game when they test marketed it. You told me they put it in some podunk, rinky-dink movie theater, and what was the counter on it? You said it was barely like $200 that it made on it.
Something like that. I can't remember now, but it was really low. But the issue that I discovered was the coin mechanism was, it was Japanese designed, and they made it so complex. There were so many places for the coins to jam. I had a real problem with it for a while. Where, I mean, now I don't have coin jams since I figured it out, but that when I first got it, that was an issue. And instead of doing the location test thing of, hey, this is what's wrong, this is what needs to be fixed, let's get this fixed, and the game will make money. No, it was the mentality from Taito in Japan. It's perfect, there's nothing wrong, it doesn't need to be fixed. And I actually don't think that anybody cared or thought about it. When it was tested over in New Jersey, they were just like, oh, look, it's not making money. Send it off to you.
You said they tested it at a cinema?
Yeah.
Yeah, cinemas are notoriously bad for video, trust me.
Yeah.
Videos don't earn anything.
If it's not Batman or Fast and Furious, they don't give a crap.
None of that
right.
shit.
So that should have been tested at a family entertainment center at least.
Yeah, I was thinking, when you said New Jersey, I thought there's this one place called the Funplex. And I mean, they advertise on television. It's a family entertainment center. They still advertise on television. I'm surprised they have the money for an advertising budget. And I'm thinking, it's got to be at the Funplex. And somebody on one of the shmup sites who lived in New Jersey went to the Funplex. They went around looking for it. Nobody could find the game. And that's another thing about getting it out there, because there's shmup players that wanted to play that game. I know New York, New Jersey shmuppers would go out to play that game, but they put it in some crap bowling alley that no one knows about. It's not going to make any money.
Well, Adam, tell them where they can find it, man.
Also, Game Grid Arcade in West Valley City, Utah, Valley Fair Mall to be exact, if you're just looking for which mall it's at. So it's still here. It's somewhat forgotten. I need to do a review about it. My next video review, as mentioned, is Jurassic Park, but maybe after that I'll finally kick myself and get this Darius Burst review done. I mean, to me, it's one of the most amazing arcade games developed in recent years. I mean, it's definitely for hardcore gamers. It's not a casual gamer game. If you don't know what you're doing or you don't care, then you'll be dead very quickly.
Yeah, it's a friggin' shooter. What do you expect?
Yeah. Doesn't hold your hand, anything like that, but amazing game. We'll definitely get to it.
That was why I was very surprised that they brought it over. I was just like, they're bringing over a shooter in, what was it, 2013? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, really.
That's amazing.
All right, you got that shmupper, guys. If you're in the middle of the country, you go to Salt Lake City and you look up the Game Grid and you get your butt in there and put some money in there. You know.
Indeed.
So, and if that seems like it's gonna round it off for us, I would believe.
Yeah. Well, I guess let me finish up. I should do it. And say, make sure you visit our social media pages on Facebook, Twitter. Arcade Heroes has Google Plus, even though there's not many people there. We have videos there. And for All Castle Games, where can they find you?
Well, if you're looking for a used game for your home, or if you're looking to go out and play some decent equipment that works, you can find us on Twitter at AC Games Live, Instagram, All Castle Games, or on Facebook at AC Games Live as well, and as always on the web at www.allcastlegames.com. So, thanks for listening.
Yeah, thank you everybody for listening, and we'll catch you on the next podcast.